Hello and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. This is your weekly rundown of the biggest and best Warhammer 40,000 tournaments coming up all around the world. Dawn of a new day, brand new month, all kind of points up for grabs. My name is Paul, your host. I'm joined by Dustin Henshaw.
Hello, everybody.
And Adam Camilleri.
No good, eh?
Welcome, everybody. This is a live show. Got some great folks in the chat. Nurgle, Matt, Bradtastic Craft, KR. Great to see y'all. If anybody else is out there, let us know what's up. If you listen to us after the fact, know that we do this live each and every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come join us. Got a great community to hang out with and to chat with us as we're doing the show. Welcome, everybody. We have some great events, like I mentioned, team events to talk about this time. We're going to do things a little bit different, breaking down some detachments and some other things over the course of this broadcast. Going to be talking about the Beachhead Brawl, ATC in North Carolina for 40K, and the Acupnarok.
Yeah, no idea how to pronounce that one.
I got it.
You did. You nailed it. But we're doing things a little bit differently. It's early in the season, so a lot of the ITC rankings are still formulating. And while we have this time before some of the people start to establish themselves as ITC contenders for lists to look at and things like that, we're actually going to be breaking down what detachments people are taking for certain factions throughout this show. So I've gone through and picked out at least one of the top represented factions in each of these events, and I've looked at every single one of the lists and given a breakdown of which detachment they chose to take on this day. So should be some interesting talking points coming from there.
Talk about it's an open runway for everybody to be getting those points. So it wasn't just talking about us and our points, but the ITC season is just getting started. So plenty of opportunity for people.
Too.
Yeah, the most important points are our points. It's true.
To make a name for themselves, their club. We're talking. I know we talk about the individuals too, but for your club and things like the hobby track and all that, it is just wide open right now as the season has begun anew. I think you just KR saying the sweet hat, and then Maddie, good to see you.
Yeah, last time I was in New Orleans, I found this beautiful cigar bar run by a wonderful man named. Yeah, wonderful man.
Whatever his name was, he was a wonderful man.
He was real nice to me. Spent a lot of time with me talking about New Orleans and how much we love the place and all that stuff. And so I bought one of his hats. And now I rep him on most shows. Just chuck it on.
Very nice. Armando.
Armando. Go say hello to Armando in the French Quarter.
We want to give an event shout out to the Grand Clash Grand Tournoi in Trois-Rivières, Quebec.
I apologize to everybody that speaks French.
It's just Three Rivers, right?
Trois-Rivières.
Is that just Three Rivers in Quebecian?
Yes.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
Trois.
Riverinos.
Trois.
River.
Trois.
No, Trois. Definitely Trois.
Oh, God.
Anyway, they never unlocked their list.
You did this on purpose.
They get all that's coming. No, they didn't unlock their list. I would have covered them on the show, but they didn't unlock their list, so they take this sass. Take it.
Would have been 103 players in a 5-round event, but let's go ahead and jump into it. Beachhead Brawl from Bournemouth, England, 203 players, 6-round event. This is a singles event. What are we going to see there?
For this one, we will be seeing in the Imperial Super Faction, there are 1 Imperial Agents. There always seems to be 1. That's great.
It's the rules.
It is the rules, yeah. 4 Sisters of Battle, 11 Custodes, 2 Admech, 10 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, and 10 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 8 Adeptus Astartes, 11 Dark Angels, 2 Space Wolves, 10 Blood Angels, 3 Black Templar, and Death Watch. Adam, stop moving your thing around the dock. It's actually showing up your name and blocking some of the numbers. Chaos. There's 13 Chaos Space Marines, 7 T-Suns, 6 Death Guard, 12 World Leaders, 11 Demons, and 9 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 14 Necrons, 9 Orcs, 9 Tau, and 4 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 10 Tyranids and 7 Genestealer Cult. Forces of the Hive Mind out in force. That was too many forces. Eldari was 2 Drukhari and 6 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Necrons topping off with 14. Chaos Space Marines right behind them with 13. World Leaders right behind them with 12. Demons, Dark Angels, Custodes again right behind them with 11. Then Blood Angels, Imperial Knights, Astra Militarum at 10. Wow, that is a beautiful podium.
Beautiful. Completely agree. And I just want to ask y'all a question and theorize in chat too. It's I believe this weekend the Eldari actually come out for real.
Yeah,
and will be
legal
the next week
Yeah.
Which of these factions do you think they're going to bump off the list?
Ooh, so the weird thing about Eldari players is that there's actually very few like just Eldari players. They are out there, but unlike other factions where an Astartes player will just literally play whichever version of Astartes makes sense, Eldari players tend to have an Eldari army and then like
just something else. It's not even like a standard one.
Orcs.
Just something else, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the one I usually find is Tau. Is like
I was gonna say, I feel like Tau is the
and
one
sometimes
that
Voten now as well. Yeah.
Voten.
Yeah, and I do call it the faction cross pollinization. When your faction isn't the thing you want to run, what do you play? In fact, I'd love to do a survey. Like that would be a great, 40K survey. Like when your faction isn't good, which one do you play?
I do feel like Eldari players, their second faction is still Xenos. Like it's not Imperium.
Exactly right. It's almost always another Xenos faction. Yep. They hate the Imperials and the Chaoses. But although I do know some Eldari players who play demons, which is as close as you can get to playing one of those factions while still playing Xenos. So that is.
I still call that Xenos.
It's pretty close. Interplanetary Xenos. Sorry. Whatever. But this faction podium is freaking spectacular. There's 9 factions in our top 5. Naturally, if there's like 150 players or more, I'll do a top 5 instead of a top 3. And the fact that there is not a single cliff in these top 5 places.
That's awesome.
With 9 factions represented, that's a testament to how good the
and the number of players too. Like, is it over 200 players per person event? So this could easily be slotted in one way or the other. But it's like just a stair step.
Like the highest, the highest representation is like just over 5%. That's
correct.
Really good.
Correct. Like we have seen some absolutely ludicrous, faction representations and some big old cliffs between first place and the rest. But the fact is, this podium, when you factor in that there's 10 of each. Blood Angels, Imperial Knights, Astra Militarum, Demons, Dark Angels, Custodes. It doesn't even like come that far over the 50 waypoint, over the 50% point. So there's 30 in 5th place. There's 33. So there's your 60 plus 12. I'm doing math on screen, but it's around about 50% of the armies in representation are on our faction podium. So it's not even that far over the halfway mark of the 200 players attending.
Well, the best part about the whole thing too is it makes the tournaments much, much more entertaining and fun, I think, to go to, because you can go there until tournaments, 2 years ago, and I have to fight these kind of armies. I have to be ready to fight these kind of armies. You go now, you don't know. You don't know.
Like nothing matters as much as faction expertise now.
Yeah, you're more concerned about the player.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. Faction expertise win out over everything else. The first of the detachment breakdowns that I've done is, of course, Necrons. They were in first place here. And so this is the breakdown of all 14 lists and what detachment they took. So in first place, we have Awakened Dynasty with 5. So a quarter. A third, sorry. Then we have Shatterstar Arsenal with 4. Canoptic Court, interestingly, with 2, and then Obsession's Phalanx and a Hypercrypt with 1 apiece. So, but Awakened Dynasty being the one that people are now going back to, I think we had a good 2 months of experimentation by everybody with Shatterstar, and then they realized this is really good, but not always the best. Where I can just play Awakened Dynasty, which has better game, I guess, more evenly across the board.
Yeah.
Whereas Shatterstar has big wins and big losses depending on matchups.
Shatterstar, I feel like, is like a better team matchup because you can avoid the worst stuff and get the really good one because it can get massive differential that way. Awaken is much better singles. It's still good at teams too, but just very good in singles.
Yeah, well, much like showing how well GW did with the index detachments that they gave us.
Yep.
They're usually the index detachment is the most balanced detachment available to said faction. I mean, Gladius Task Force is the gold standard there, where it's like I don't know what to play, I'll play Gladius, and it's always a good time. You've already hit the next slide there, Dustin.
Yeah, so I just had to go look up what
I pressed the
Obsession's Phalanx does.
Yeah.
Because I've not seen that be
that's the one
a
like
choice.
The Garden Nobles and bonuses like +1 to 1.
It is, yeah. I had 1 to the wound roll.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
From when your army makes an attack that targets that unit.
They got a pseudo oath a moment type ability. Yeah.
Yeah, select 1 enemy unit with those units you just identified, and then you get a +1 to the wound. So
it's cute. It's probably the the most well-rounded Silent King you can build. Of course, the Shatterstar Arsenal has the most durable Silent King you can build. But the Obsessive Phalanx, now that Silent King has the right keywords, he goes to the absolute absolute straight to the stratosphere in what he can do in that list. Apart from go through walls, yeah, which is fair. Which is fair. All right. Let's hit that transition. Chaos Space Marines in second place on our faction podium, so they got a breakdown as well. And this one really shocked me. This legitimately, I was like, what is going on here? 6 of the 13 are pack-bound zealots. So almost half of all the 13 in representation are freaking pack-bound. 3 Creations of Bile, 3 Renegade Raiders, and a single Veterans of the Long War. Now, this, I couple of months ago, this would have been like pretty much exclusively Renegade Raiders as the taken detachment of choice. It would have been like 10 out of 13 Renegade Raiders. But now Pack-Bound coming out of absolutely nowhere. Have you got those up for us, Paul? You know what that does? I can see you looking down at your phone, and I assume you're looking at
look, this is, I try to figure out like what is causing this to bubble up over the others, and basically lethal hits seems pretty good,
Yeah,
man.
So that seems to be the clear choice.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that I would have thought it would have been more Creations of Bile, and just people still experimenting with the newness, the new hotness. And Creations of Bile is
Creations of Bile, with the possessed and things like that. Those are still choices, and if you were playing for a long time, you have that. So it's like if it's good again, and you already have the models, that's kind of like an excuse to bring it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Creations of Bile is a very, very, very good list. It has some of the similar issues as Star Shatter, as in like it has very big, very good matchups, very bad matchups. Because ostensibly, Creations of Bile is like a spicy world that is list. It's a world is list that gets to bring a bit of DACA and like negotiates transports a lot better. But it still is like I go in a straight line and mess you up kind of aggressive build, which some people are here for, some people are not. And of course, you do have to have a lot of possessed, because the best Creations of Bile list jumping around at the moment are 30 possessed. That's a lot of possessed.
That's a lot of possessed.
But again, that was an archetype.
Correct.
2 years ago?
Yeah, in 8th edition. Yeah, there was some really, really crazy possessed builds with like 80 possessed in them before the
4 years ago? 5 years ago.
Dude, possessed will have been like one of those units that just like kind of is on the roller coaster of this is amazing, one of the best things I can possibly build. Never mind, I'll go to some other stuff. It's amazing again.
They were a meme for a while, and then became like
savage.
Yeah,
savage. 3 Renegade Raiders, no surprises there. But yeah, the pack-bound lists, I didn't have time, but I really wanted to go in and see what those are being built around, like what was the core of those archetypes. So if anybody's all interested, go check that out on BCP and have a look for yourselves. But that is it for Beachhead Brawl, gents. Time to pick some winners.
Yeah, I'm curious the god mix, like the Pantheon mix for the
right.
Pack-bound zealots.
Exactly right, because that really
basically
determines...
units trigger off different things for criticals. For lethals, it's
Yeah,
so the composition matters.
Yeah, exactly right. Pack-bound is like one of those ones where you have to pick the build like correctly, because of course they all get different associated buffs of being different marks. And yeah, I mean, you can just pick the wrong ones the wrong occasion. Like this is a matchup where I need lethals and I have all the sustains, or vice versa. So it feels like it's something that needs a bit of a meta knowledge going about it, especially in today's game. All right, time for me to roll a dice. 1, 2's Dustin, 3, 4 is Paul, 5, 6 is me. It is Paul picking first.
Let's see. We're trying to pick a winning faction here. I think I'm going to go with, I'm going Blood Angels. This is open. Blood Angels play well into a lot of lists.
Yep. All right, I'm going to 50-50, me and Dustin. I'm 1, 2, 3. No, Dustin, I'm going last. Damn it.
Well, I'm not going to pick what you pick, I'm sure. But I am going to take... I'm going to take Necrons.
Yeah, play the numbers.
I got nothing else to go on.
Yeah, that is totally fair. Totally fair. I mean, the game is so absolutely crazy wide open. I'm going to do something weird and go Demons.
That's not weird. That's
not weird at all. Well, especially, budget Slanesh stuff.
So my hot take on Demons is that they are now the most... If you have an extensive Demons army and you know your meta, I think they're one of the best armies in the game. Because if you can flex into any of the new detachments, because each one of the new detachments like really handles a specific meta extremely well. Like if you have a strong melee meta, then you don't want to be playing Slanesh. But the Nurgle and the Khorne, or the The Zinch get a lot better. The Khorne, debatably, into some melee matchups, depending on what profiles they're wielding. If you're playing just they are all shooting, then the Slanesh and the Zinch get a lot better. If they're just like a weird tradie army, the Nurgle gets extremely good, especially if they don't have double oath of moment and stuff like that to smash down great and clean ones. So yeah, I'm really of the opinion. I'm very high on demons at the moment. I think they're one of the best and most fun factions to play, because essentially you have 4 different factions in your faction, because you have 4 really
the general
tuned.
benefits for having close to perfect information,
Correct.
or it being a crapshoot like we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like you could play any number of lists, and so
and unlike, the only other army that is comparable to where demons are at right now is 8th edition and 9th edition Dark Elves was Drakari, because when they had a mini codex for each one of their the cults, the covens, the cabals, and it felt like you could play 3 completely different armies and have 3 different play experiences with the one army. That's really how demons feel right now. If you have an extended demons collection, you have 4 different distinct flavored armies now, and you can just have so much fun.
KR in the chat, so I think with some insight into the players that may or may not be there, said Astra Militarum or Orcs would also be good choices.
Yeah.
This Dorian snuck into the chat, so good to see you as well. Well, those are our picks. We'll see how it all plays out. Next event, we're going to be talking about the ATC North Carolina, 40K from Carthage, North Carolina. This is a team event, so the ATC has partnered with some other folks and kind of broken out and doing other team tournaments in the same style that was coined from the ATC that happens in Chattanooga.
Yeah, so they're essentially making a bit of a circuit out of their brand of teams 40K, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, and seems to be in, and you can see by the folks that are playing, it's a great culture, and folks are going to be coming out and playing. It is 150 players and 30 teams of 5 over 5 rounds of competition. Dustin, what are we going to see there?
In the Imperial Zoo faction, there is the ubiquitous 1 Imperial Agent, 2 Sisters of Battle, 10 Custodes, 6 Admech, 12 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, and 6 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, 11 Adeptus Astartes, 2 Dark Angels, 2 Space Wolves, and 5 Blood Angels. Chaos, there's 8 Chaos Space Marines, 0 T-Suns. Not a T-Sun in sight. 8 Death Guard. In teams. That's crazy.
But it's a 5-pack. I think you may see them in 8-packs.
Yeah, true. But that's still crazy. Yeah. 8 Death Guard, 9 World Eaters, 6 Demons, and a Chaos Knight. Xenos, there's 7 Necrons, 15 Orcs, 8 Tau, 2 Votan. Wait a minute. I just realized that means there is more Imperial Agent factions than there are T-Suns in this team event. I need to pause on that for a second, because that's insane.
That means one team has 2 Grey Knights.
That's exactly what that means. That is exactly what that means. Hive Mind, there's 8 Tyranids and 4 Genes to their cult. Eldari, there's 4 Drakari and 4 Eldari, meaning the faction podium. Stardies technically topping it off with 20. Then Orcs topping it with 15. Astra Militarum at 12. Adeptus Astartes at 11. Custodes at 10. And World Eaters at 9. What do you think of that podium for a team's event?
Nice little step down here again. A bit of a gap between Orcs and Astra Militarum, but it's only 3, which isn't massive. But yeah, nice little step down here in numbers. The couple of big surprises to me: Necrons. Necrons not taken that much, whereas I think, they are the most likely podium, faction in the game at the moment, and has been for the duration of this edition. And then they got less than half of the Orcs, which I found very surprising. Yeah.
That's actually
you think there's just some some detachment confusion maybe with the Necrons as to what is the best, and if things are I know I kind of go into not vapor lock, but when things are 50-50, I'm what if I come down on the wrong side of that coin flip? Let me do something that's a little bit more where I feel like I'm a little bit more in control.
And yeah, the detachment confusion you're talking about is Shatterstar, Awakened Dynasty, or Hypercrypt. Of course, Hypercrypt would be the most even scorer into anybody, just being able to uppy downy and get a bunch of points. But then you're doing it with a lot less units. You're doing it with 2 units per turn, 3 if you got the enhancement. And there is a lot of different stuff now in the meta that the things like the heavy hitting options, things like Emitic Destroyers are really not great into so many Marines in the meta, and the Monolith, everyone's taken their Infiltrators again, so you're shutting down the big Monolith plays of the uppy downy there as well. So Hypercrypt's getting pushed out a bit. I do think Awakened Dynasty is an interesting take for teams because it's not a differential getter. So Awakened Dynasty will be like here's my fire blanket over your good scorer, but they're not going to put up a big score either. And then you got Shatterstar, which can absolutely blow people out of the water and get big scores, but also has a bunch of bad matchups. And so I think that's just left Necrons in this weird space of people being like, well, do we actually want to take him? Because they're not doing anything exceptionally well anymore. In teams.
Kyle,
Yeah.
good to see you put out a comment there. Two Sisters is not a good testament to where the Adeptus Sororitas are in the
Correct.
meta right now.
Mm-hmm.
I do love seeing Orcs #1 on the faction podium. I love it.
That is,
And-
that came out of nowhere not too long ago. Like,
Yeah.
that tactical brigade just like escalated them.
Exactly right. Well, it gave them the thing that they could never do,
Yep.
because they always had a massive anti-tank problem. Like their anti-tank weapons were so swingy and so prone to like minus to hit, especially, would just take them out of viability. Now the tactical brigade has let them feel much more well-rounded.
Mhm.
Despite, interestingly, I look at a lot of the tactical brigades. I'm like, there's actually not many units for an Orc army. Like when you take your 2 or 3 units of Breaker Boys, 2 or 3 units of new tank busters, your 2 units of Flash Gits, and you're like, where's the boys? Where are the boys at?
Orc stuff though, it's like really weighted to where if you have a little bit of Gork and Mork on your side, then you're going to have some great turns, and
It's
if
true,
you can
you
help
will.
skew that with the detachment ability.
Not even great
Well-
terms, but like back-breaking turns for your opponent.
And they operate at such a base level of like good pressure and melee that just adding like decent shooting, because I'm not even going to sit here and say their shooting is crazy exceptional. It's just what it's crazy exceptional at is doing the thing that Orcs could never do, which was negotiating multiple transports a turn. Like they could never kind of handle more than 1 transport a turn with shooting.
I
And now
decided I was going to pick Orcs as my faction. Let's not. I don't want y'all to get hip on this.
well, you're picking last here, Paul, because you picked first last time. So, and actually, see, I picked last one, so I'm picking first this one.
Orcs are
And guess what?
trash right now, man. I don't think anybody should be.
Nah, no, who would pick Orcs? No one.
Nobody would pick Orcs.
Anyway, the detachment breakdown I did for this one is the Astartes. So all 20 of the Astartes lists I did have a look at and judge and put up their detachments for you on screen. We have 5 Gladius of the 20 total, so a quarter have taken Gladius. There's 4 Liberators, which is denoting that there's 4 Blood Angels players here, and there's also 2 Angelic Inheritors as well. So there is a couple of Blood Angels, 4 Iron Storms. All of these are Ultramarines as well. I did have a quick check. 2 Storm Lancers, one of those is a Dark Angel. 2 Champions of Russ. You can
Space
guess
Wolves?
that they're Space Wolves.
Maybe. Maybe Space Wolves?
2 Angelic Inheritors and only 1 Vanguard. And that means everyone's finally listened to me and realized that Vanguard is actually not that good in teams. Vanguard is a much better singles list than it is a teams list because it doesn't push a differential. Because it essentially takes the first 2 turns off of the game in order to set up a huge hammer blow turn. Whereas like things like Deathwatch can do that hammer blow turn, sometimes turn 1, sometimes turn 2. As in they can just, go from the back of the board to the front of the board. So, but this is an interesting breakdown. I'm not overly surprised. The one I'm surprised by is the Iron Storms, having so many Iron Storms represented.
I'm not too surprised about that. Some people prefer the Iron Storm to the Gladius. It's a similar build. They just like the damage output increase in the Iron Storm, which I can respect. I prefer the Gladius because I feel like it's a little bit more well-rounded. You guys should have more answers to everything. But Iron Storm definitely has that little bit of extra punch.
I agree. We saw so many Ballistus Dreadnoughts and all the things like speed. I mean, all the stuff that people have been taking. I bet they thought, well, what if this just hit a little harder?
Yeah.
Exactly right. And what you're referring to there is like over the last couple of huge events in the world, we've seen Ballistus Dreadnoughts, Vindicators, Storm Speeders, be it Hammer Strike or Thunder Strike, and sometimes Predators as well, or a single Gladiator, be it a Lancer Reaper or.
Oh, there's going to be lots of Reapers in Iron Storm. There's got to be at least 2. There has to be.
I'm of the opinion if you're taking Iron Storm, like a Gladiator Reaper, like self-populates into your list.
Yeah, it should.
Like it's in. But yeah, both Space Wolves lists are playing Champions of Russ, so they're both the put them in Wolf's Jail build, which I think is the best way to play them, obviously in teams. But I was interested what your thoughts are, Paul, between the delineation between Liberator and Angelic Inheritors. Which one do you think is actually better in teams at the moment?
I think the Liberator is more consistent.
Yeah.
I really do. But at the same time, you get almost like the best of both worlds, of all worlds in the Angelic Inheritors, but just a little bit of taste of it, and so there are times where you might be able to play on the fringe a little more often.
That's a good way.
So maybe
That's
you
a good way
can
of
go
saying
into
it.
worse matchups
Yeah.
with the Angelic Inheritors. But if you feel very confident that you not have to be in that situation, I prefer the Liberators.
Mm. So the way I see it is you can make any unit better in Angelic Inheritors than you can make any one unit in Liberator, but Liberator will have like better utility units, if that makes sense. Like your JPIs, your Reavers, your Outriders are just better in a Liberator. Like they just get just a boost. But then what you can do with like freaking 3 Sangard and a character in Angelic Inheritors is like,
Yeah.
but much more expensive, much different profiles. And you can
I mean,
only
I
have,
do love them both. Again, and I think
yeah.
there's you could make a case for any of them. That's just where I think
Mm.
the way it runs down, and maybe the folks that are the Angelic Inheritors are playing more into their their player skill. Like they
Yeah.
probably feel like I'm gonna be that Swiss Army knife. Just put me wherever you want me, and that's
Yeah.
a big value proposition in a team event.
Indeed. All right, time to pick some winners. I'm picking first, Talks.
Wow.
Fell into my trap.
It was a trick.
So, Dustin, what would you like?
Orcs is what I would like. But...
You like orcs as well? We can do it. You can have orcs as
No,
well.
we can't do that. I don't want to get the same points as you. That's awful. That's awful. I don't want to do Necrons again. That's boring too. You know what? Let's just.
Well, Necrons didn't make this faction podium, brother.
Yeah,
so,
but neither is what I'm going to pick either. I'm going to. I want to go with one of my factions. I'm sad that I'm not picking. I'm going Tyranids. Screw it. Tyranids.
Send it, mate. Love it.
No reason
Paul,
not to.
like?
Especially what we saw the performance from events last week. I'm going Custodes.
Yep.
I was in the process of writing Astra Militari, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
did not call it.
That would be a good one. I just think in the
That
team events, I think Astra Militarum gets placed in like a problem solver mode sometimes, and so blowouts are less likely.
That's fair. Totally fair.
All right. Next event we're going to be talking about is
You have to say it again. Yes.
Yep. The Acupnarok. Has to be from Spain, so long I sign. Acupnarok from Villamariel de Cerrato, Placina, Spain. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. And
we respect
also
you,
sorry.
Paul. We respect you. We respect you for doing it and trying.
I just want to say I'm sorry as well. 108 players in 18 teams of 6. What are we going to see there? We got some questions in chat. I will definitely get to that. Just 1 second.
All right, so quick introduce that to the Imperial Super Faction. No Agents of the Imperium. I'm very sad. Once the battle, 8 Custodes, 1 Admech, 10 Astra Militarum, 5 Grey Knights, 6 Imperial Knights, Space Marines. There's 3 Astartes, 4 Dark Angels, 3 Space Wolves, 5 Blood Angels, and a Death Watch. Finally, I haven't seen a Death Watch here yet. That's crazy.
I know. Very surprising.
Chaos. There's 6 Chaos Space Marines. There's 1 T-Sun. We found 1. 5 Death Guard and 1 World Eater with 7 Demons and 3 Chaos Knights as well. Xenos, there's 9 Necrons, 7 Orcs, 6 Tau, and 4 Votan. Tau and Votan having pretty consistent showings as well, which is good to see. Hive Mind, 6 Tyranids, and 3 G-Star Cult. It's almost always like G-Star Cult's half the number of Tyranids.
Half.
That is
correct.
Very fluffy. I like that.
It is.
Which means the faction podium is, of course, total Astartes is technically at the top with 16, but if we go by single factions, it's Astra Militarum at 10, Necrons right behind them with 9, the Custodes at 8. That is not a surprising faction podium at all.
What was a surprise for me is the Astartes faction numbers. So this is the first time since Adeptus Astartes got their +1 to wound oath that I think they're not the most taken Astartes. Dark Angel's been taken more than them. Blood Angel's been taken more than all. And it's actually a very surprising Space Marine breakdown because Adeptus Astartes is not, ahead of everybody else. It's actually in 3rd place, equal with freaking Space Wolves. So yeah, really surprised by those numbers.
Yeah. And
I believe that would indicate a little bit more advanced thinking on the Space Marines need to be fit for a significant purpose, not as an all-comers. which I think is much more the the Ultramarines Gladius style is just like amazing all comers army, whereas Dark Angels is much more specific, Space Wolves much more specific, Blood Angels even more specific again for what they're going to be doing in a team lineup.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, they both just made that face of like, yeah.
Yeah, Paul didn't say anything, but he made the exact same face that I did when I responded. So it was actually we were both thinking the same thing.
Definitely a comment I just made that's fit for a possible audio only podcast.
Here's that question I want to get to is in Dustin. This is before we jump into the meat of it. Thanks for tuning in, Karzachak. Are Bob Garants any good?
Barb Gaunts? I mean,
yeah.
They have uses, if you're talking about competitively, not really, just because they're unlike the Basilisk, that you have to see what they're shooting. So they're going to slow one unit and then die.
And they're not especially long range, are they?
They're not especially. They're only like 18 inches, I think. Like, it's not.
Yeah. Like the Basilisk and even the Night Spinner are just like range table.
In terms of just like cheap bodies, they're not bad, but you just have better options for that.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I don't dislike.
Also,
I don't
slightly
dislike
depends on what you're playing into. It's
true.
So if you're playing into something, they're
do
good.
Do they force a battle shock as well?
No, they just slow. They have like a.
Was that the Neurogons or something? Yeah, okay.
No.
Yeah, I made it up.
Neurolictor does.
That's right. Neuro something.
Neuro stuff does that.
So great numbers for Astra Militarum here. No surprises. Custodian's a little bit lower here than we have in our previous events. Only 8, but I say only 8. That's still like that's 8 out of 30 teams. What I love here is that even the total Adeptus Astartes is just over half of the teams represented. Because of course, like if people need reminding, you can only take one of each faction. This is 18. Oh, apologies. I thought this was the previous one where it was 30 teams. It's 18 teams of 6. So 10 out of 18 took Astra Militarum. And only 2 teams didn't take Astartes of some variety.
And good spot on the format too. Like 6-player teams is
it's a whole different animal than 5. Yeah, I really want to see more 7-player teams, but I suppose if you can do 7, you can do 8, and 8's the perfect number.
7's an odd number.
Yeah,
literally.
That's why I like it.
I was about to say yes, it is.
It's literally an odd number. But
we're smart bunch of boys.
I was just gonna say it's more of a weird
Might be
number.
prime. I don't know. Can we
It's
just
an
start
awkward number. It is a prime number, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a prime number. It's an odd number. I had nothing else to follow that up. I just wanted to point that out.
Now, I think where we're at right now is the absolute bottom of the barrel for the Eldari super faction. Like 1 and 2 is the represented there. So like literally possibly 3 teams, maybe even 2 teams took any Eldari in their 6-player. Now this is it's gonna be really interesting to track how the Eldari mixes this up, because dead set, if I was going to a 6-man event with that Eldari like next month, I would have to have a very good reason why. You would have to sit me down with a panel and debate me on why we're not taking it Eldari in our 6-player team event. So yeah, look for those numbers to absolutely skyrocket.
Indeed, looking forward to seeing how people crack that. I'm going to be put a lot of thought into that these next couple of weeks as well.
All right. Astra Militarum Detachment Breakdown is the one I did for this, because naturally I'd already done Astartes and I'd already done Necrons. So this is the total of the 10 players bringing Astra Militarum. Hammer of the Emperor, because the new codex is in play for this event. So Hammer of the Emperor is up first, and that is the tanky Iron Maul tanks, and tanks are good here. Detachment. 3 are playing Index. Yeah, dude, Tank Commander Dawns, baby. What I love about Hammer of the Emperor is what you can do with your transports. It actually, unfortunately, does more to activate transports than the transport
Engineers and Toroxes just...
Yep. Just going 25 inches or whatever, and getting out, flipping objectives. But yeah, we have 3 combined regiment, which is the Index Detachment, of course. 1 mechanized assault, which, while I did say Hammer of the Emperor does more for transports, like getting people onto objectives, you do a lot more janky stuff with the mechanized assault.
And getting in, getting out, and that kind of stuff, and coming on from the edge.
Single bridgehead. Only 1.
That is insane.
That's the surprise.
Okay,
that's
so
the surprise.
I have a reason for this. No way does the majority of Astra Militarum players right now have that many Scions to bring right now.
There's not. You're saying there's not enough Scions in Spain.
There's not enough Scions in Spain. There's no way. That's the only reason, because
that's a take.
Bridgehead is so strong.
Why are you saying that's the standout?
for the fact that Bridgehead is so low represented. To me,
well, no, why isn't there more? I mean, other than the model choice, if everyone had infinite scions, why would they be taking this?
The damage they could do, it has the best trade game. It has more damage. You have really cheap units that can trade up into basically anything. You have more units, so you can actually get all your actions done. But I'm an MSU Horde player, so I mean, this just speaks to me. So I might be speaking, biasly. Well, I'm definitely speaking biasly, but
no, I don't think you are. I mean, I think scions are absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like every single scion, you could take more of them. They become battle line. They should become battle line because you're going to take the Tempest as their warlord, right? But anyway, they become battle line. So you have all these units that are doing massive damage. Every single one of them can trade up. They have uppy downy for both activating their damage and playing the mission. They already have MSU, and they have more stuff to help them play the mission. So like they feel GSC to me. Again, I'm biased.
That's why. Okay, fine. Yeah, you exposed yourself. That's why you like it.
I was biased.
I knew we'd just dangle it out there. He'd say it. No, I'm kidding. No, I think it is strong for sure.
So I just opened up one of the Hammer of the Emperor lists, and it starts off with triple Rogel Dawn tank commanders.
Triple.
That's just the start.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling down to see if you put any more in there. No, just the three. Just the three.
Oh,
it's
all,
fine.
Huh?
Oh, that's all. Yeah, it's not much. It's totally doable.
Any engine seers in there? I hope there's some engine seers.
No, he's got a.
They seem so good on paper, but they don't make it.
They're only 45 points, aren't they?
Still taking Lord Solar. Yeah, they're real cheap. They're real cheap, man.
45 points,
like
4 pinball. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they actually are very good. But when you're building the list though, it's like, this guy just kind of walks around and sometimes you don't use him, or I could get this other laser gun. That's
It's true. It's true.
Here for the laser gun. I honestly think there's not more Dawns in that list because everyone only owned 3 Dawns because you could only ever have 3 Dawns previously. And now there's probably not any more Dawns in Spain. That's what we're just going to make broad generalizations about how many models there are in Spain.
Yeah.
You do often in team events. I shouldn't say often. It is common for folks to play borrow hammer essentially,
definitely.
because the hobby, while of course battle ready is typically a requirement, you're not judged on the consistency of the painting.
Yeah.
And so, people borrow.
They do indeed. All right, time to pick some winners. This is Dustin's first pick.
It's my first pick. Ooh, for some team events. There's so. You know what? I'm gonna go Astra Militarum.
Dang it.
Solid.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one where Paul picks next, and I pick last.
Necrons.
Not a bad call, gents. I will be the lame boy and go. No, I'm not going to pick Astartes because there's only like 3, actual.
You said
Astartes.
it.
Almost got it.
I'm doubling down. We're going Orcs again, baby. We're going Orcs. All those Hammer of the Emperor lists. Get you out of there with those tank busters.
If they had an engine seer, I wouldn't be as worried about that.
If they had an engine seer, there's nothing to see here.
That seems very reasonable picks. Look, if you're made it this far in the show, this is the part where we take a little bit of a break and we go and we would talk about a sponsor here if we had one. It's what we would do. But we also here in a minute cut to a segment we call the Fuego Rapido, which is absolutely silly. But if you have made it this far, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That is the hassle-free way to interact with the show and tells the aggregators that other people should maybe find us and come and hang out with us as well. So you have more people to hang out with live, more people to watch the show and comment with afterwards. May have some folks to check out our Patreon where we do a part 2 of this show for tier 2 and higher, although every tier over there is absolutely amazing. But we do an after show, and you can actually listen to it right after this show from the week before, where we run down how our predictions actually played out and who won the thing. We break down notable list or factions from the event. It's actually a cool little bit where we all get together and do it again, but that's for tier 2 and higher on the Patreon. The next segment sometimes has very little to do with Warhammer at all.
What nonsense do you have for us today, Dustin?
Well, this one does have something to do with Warhammer. So last week we did the Highlander. You can only take one, and these were good units. So we're going to do the opposite this time. He's like, you have to take only one. These are the lesser taken models in certain armies. So we'll see what you guys think of it. And I'm
Or
curious
you
to-
pick the army, and then we have to find, or you give us a list of
No,
three
just two.
units.
It's one of the two things. You have to take one of these two, and you have to take only
Okay.
one of them. You can't spam them. Okay.
All right,
First
what you got for us?
up, Radium Dragoons or Taser Dragoons? You
It's
only
got to
take
be
one?
Taser Goons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Taser Dragoons feels like
I
that-
feel like it's Tasers, but
yeah. When
What's
I
the
say
rating
Taser
ones even do?
Dragoons,
you can only
because
take
could
one
just, like,
unit of them. You can only take one unit of them. You can't.
well, so you maybe just get yourself in a situation to where you're able to get the charge.
You rapid ingress them. Like you kind of.
Is this I can take one unit of 3 of them, or are they 2-mans now? I can't remember.
I think they're two.
But,
units. Well, there might be 3. But yeah, you
I'm
can only
just
take
pulling
one
up
unit.
their data sheets now. But yeah, I feel like it's Tasers. I feel like it's got to be right.
Yeah, I mean, well, so what's the ability on these things?
So
Each time the select use unit target of a stratagem roll a d6 on a 5+, you gain 1 CP, and then the dynamic efficiency, this unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced and fell back, and you can re-roll desperate escape test taken for models in this unit.
And the ones with the Radium Jezzails is at the start of the battle, select one unit from your opponent's army. To the end of the battle, each time model this unit makes an attack, you can reroll the hit roll against that unit. And the Radium Jezzail is 1 shot, anti-infantry 3 plus heavy precision. Hits on a 4, so you do need that reroll at strength 5 -2, 3 damage. And then they do have their little Phosphorus Serpenter as well.
Look, I'm going with Anti-Walker, Lance,
Me
Sustain
too.
hits,
Me too.
Strength 7, neg 2 AP, damage 2.
I think
The anti-walker man
yeah.
just absolutely flatlines knight armies. Absolutely
Oh,
flatlines them.
Knights have the Walker keyword.
Yeah, baby, they all do. It's
Yeah,
like
there you
losing
go.
Canis Rex to like
Oh,
1.5
Oh.
Taser Dragoons is.
yeah, you don't want that. No, I think it's the Tasers for sure. Radiums
You
have
get
uses,
You
but
can get up to 3 of these Dragoons, and a unit of 3 is only
Oh.
210 points.
Yeah,
Oh,
efficient.
that's a dead knight, right? For sure. Math says it.
That's more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
4 attacks apiece.
That's pretty good then.
Fuego.
Next one. Crimson Hunter or Hemlock Wraithfighter?
I mean,
if you had
Hemlock.
asked me,
Yeah.
yeah, if you had asked me before the Codex,
Yeah.
it may have been the Crimson Hunter. Now it's the Hemlock every day.
I mean, it's always been the Hemlock. The only time you'd ever take a Crimson Hunter is when you ran out of space to take more Hemlocks.
Well, there was a time you took Crimson
Uh.
Hunters when like flyers were a big thing in the meta because they used to be
Yeah,
really good
only
at
after you've
flyers.
taken your full complement of Hemlocks.
Because
Because Hemlocks killed everything. It wasn't just like other flyers. They
Correct.
killed
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, when flyers were all the jam, the Hemlocks were amazing anti-flyer tech. But I agree. I think it's the Hemlock. The Hemlock now triggers off a bunch of different stuff. Actually, is it the Crimson Hunter that has Aspect Warrior, or is it the Hemlock that has Aspect Warrior?
So the Crimson Hunter used to have an aspect, have an Exarch
Yep.
Crimson Hunter, but they
Mhm.
do not anymore.
Okay.
You're bringing up the Crimson Hunter to see?
I am. No, I am bringing up the Crimson Hunter, but I'm doing it badly.
Whereas the Hemlock, fires D cannons and does psychic stuff.
I heard Decann's pretty good. What is its new psychic ability now? Like, I have never actually seen a Hemlock on the table in an edition or two.
I could tell you in a
editions.
couple of
It's
minutes.
it's very similar to Scari's Bomber.
Really?
Like I remember, it's like AP for 2 damage.
For the guns, eh? But what's the
For the
psychic
guns.
ability?
I'll tell you
Or does it
right
even have
now.
one?
The Mind Shock pod, while an enemy unit is within 9 inches of this model, subtract 1 from Battle Shock and leadership test taken from this unit.
Which is real. It's actually very cute, as this is a Psyker, and so you'd use it in the Farsia detachment in the new Codex,
Oh, yeah.
and you can just rock around battle shocking people off primary objectives.
Hmm.
And this thing has a big old base to draw that 6 inches from as well.
Cute.
Or was it 9 inches? Yeah.
Cute. Okay. Well, I'm down with the
And the
Hemlock.
yeah, I think you got to go the Hemlock.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
D6 attacks, blast, hits on
Yeah.
4s, strength 12, neg 4, AP, 2 damage apiece.
correct. And that is why it is baller, because it's very, like I said, very similar to the bomber that Scary likes to wield to just annihilate Space Marines' bodies off the table.
Okay. Next up, Death Company Marines or Death Company Dreadnought?
This is not really a choice.
No, it's not really a choice. Not really a choice. Although, if I had to only pick one, and this means I get to take more Death Company Marines, I will take one. I will take one tax Death Company Dreadnought, so I can have 2 units of Death Company.
Yeah, okay, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah,
But you really only need 1 unit of Death Company Marines.
correct.
You
You,
have
only have
one
one
Lamarties.
Marties, baby. Yeah, you
Yeah.
only have one. I mean, the Death Company Chappie is not the worst thing in the world to chuck with them. He's just
Yeah,
so much worse than the Marties. So much
Not
worse.
at all.
The Marties is like head and shoulders. That -1 damage.
Yeah, but you want
Yeah.
to put him with some Death Company like jump pack, not just regular. Marines.
Oh,
This is not
these
jump
are
pack.
walking-
Sorry.
This is
Okay.
walking. This is not
You know
jump
what?
pack.
This is walking. Okay.
Then I would like to apologize again. This is great.
Yes. I apologize to you, Dustin. This is a fantastic.
I just
choice.
assumed they all came with jump packs.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
like,
that's a good
What's this
assumption.
guy
It's a
thinking?
good assumption.
What's this guy thinking? Yeah.
Let's go.
walking
I
Death Company
revise
Marines.
it. The Dreadnought.
So it is the
I'd
Dreadnought.
go the
then.
Marines. I'd go the Marines.
Nah, I think the Dreadnought in that case, without the jump pack, you want that just kind of beef factor. It's,
And it still
somewhat-
does it still have the infinite attacks? Like just keep chaining off thing?
No, I don't think so. Granted, look, I have not taken one in this new world. So.
What still has it now? Like the Hellbrood has it now, which I didn't know, but the Hellbrood has it now apparently. Does the
The ability to just chain attacks.
yeah when he gets shot?
Death
When
Company.
he
Yeah.
gets attacked.
Let's
It's
go.
driven by Fury. In your opponent's shooting phase, each time an enemy has shot, this model was hit by 1 or more attacks, it can make a driven by Fury move. To do so, roll a d6 and add 2 to the roll. This is the moved model in inches.
Oh, this has a surge move.
Surge. Yeah.
Okay, that's
That's
cool.
the Death Company Dreadnought. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay,
Oh.
yeah, I'd go with the Dreadnought.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the
looking-
Blood Talons are twin linked. I mean, so it's not nothing.
Yeah, looking at the regular Death Company Marines, yeah, they're nothing. Yeah, let's do the Dread. Let's be fun.
This went from an easy one to actually.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is like, what is this guy? What is this guy Dustin doing?
Yeah, if I put that in there, like, why would we even be talking about that? Okay.
Sometimes we read, sometimes we don't. What else do you want?
You have to
No.
read from left to right the entire way. Okay?
Well, it doesn't help that there's 3
It
versions
doesn't.
of Death Company
It really
Marines, and We
doesn't.
just went straight to
No.
the good one.
That
We
makes
read
no-
this like the first time.
we are the Meta
you looked at
Chasers,
stratagem.
We
Yeah.
assumed, we must be talking about jump pack, because why would you even talk about not putting a jump pack on your Death Company right now?
He'd be a fun one. You chuck all the Surge Dreadnoughts, because there's like 3 or 4 different Surge Dreadnoughts in a room. Which one makes it out?
That's
I mean, you gotta go with a
fuego for another
named
day.
one, right?
That's a flag for another day.
It's enough for another day. Yeah. Anyway, what's next?
I think this is the last one. Nope, second last one. Lehman Russ Punisher or Vanquisher?
They both suck.
Well, the Punisher has you might show up to a table like, my Punisher is amazing.
I have seen more Vanquishers this edition than I've seen Punishers. As in, I've actually seen
What are they
them.
killing? What is the Vanquisher killing?
So
big thing?
The reason people were taking the Vanquisher was it was the cheapest hull available to HML time. It was the under 140 point hull, or was the 140 point hull, and so that was just the cheapest way to get 2 multi-melters and a las cannon, essentially, on a Lehman Russ chassis.
And by the way, I don't mean can it kill stuff. The Vanquisher can absolutely kill stuff. I mean, but why would someone take a Vanquisher, and what are they trying to kill that the Vanquisher is more better at killing it?
Yeah, well, when you factor in the las cannon to 2 multi-melters, it does then kill tanks and transports pretty effectively. Whereas the Punisher, essentially, if you're not playing into infantry, it just hasn't got a target. Even though it does still gets dev wounds against non-monsters of vehicles, so it can still kill some things that are.
I mean, it'll still
problematic,
have multi-melters in the las cannon.
It still has multi-melters in las cannon. It's 20 shots at 24 inches, hitting on 4s, strength 6, no neg 1 damage, and that's the issue, because other equivalents like this, like the Reaper, have sustained hits 1. Or sustained hits 2 rather when it's shooting infantry.
It does get
whereas
something
this one
against
just
infantry, doesn't it?
Dev wounds.
It gets something
So-
against
No, well, it gets dev wounds versus infantry.
Punisher is my answer.
Sorry,
You get to roll- You get to roll a lot of dice.
non-monster vehicles.
There's infantry are very important. It would actually just wreck anything Dustin plays.
That's true.
And maybe John Bernthal will play it in a show one day.
Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to go the Vanquisher. I'm just going to go the Vanquisher. For the sake of having to choose.
I take the Punisher.
In the new meta, like in new Codex meta, I actually don't know.
I would
because
take
I feel
it,
like I think the Vanquisher got a significant glow up in the new version.
Sure, maybe. I do think, if nothing else, the Punisher is actually really good, like Overwatch threat to things like Eldar.
That's true. That is very relevant.
Joke's on you. You're not gonna be able to Overwatch Eldar.
That's true. One unit, come on, maybe. Somebody's got
unit is Fire Dragon.
Last but not least, Spore Assist or Toxicrene.
Oh, do you want to give people a hug with the Toxicrene, or you just want to be a bit of a eyesore on the table in the Spore Assist?
I had that reversed. I thought the Spore Assist was the one that like had no friends, like because it needed all the space.
It does. It also needs all the space.
They're both
absurdly
they're
both very
big.
obnoxious. Like size.
What does the Spore Assist do now?
It actually
Dustin?
it can spawn mines, and it's separate from the Biovore. Not as long as Rage, but it could spawn mines the same as the Biovore.
I love how you're shaking your finger at me.
Okay.
Let me tell you
something.
Let me tell you.
I've actually found value with them in assimilation because it just gives more spores to get you more things to die, so you can respawn.
Yeah, to more numbs. And the Toxicrene it still just has like a bucket of bad attacks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
Like close combat, right?
It is all close combat. Well, it does have a gun, but
does it have an aura like the Venom throws do?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't have a toxic. Okay, Spore Assist for me.
Yeah,
making free unit make free unit is more better than like the unit you literally can't move through the terrain because it's somehow wider. Than
it is so obnoxious.
When they were designing that model, I would really love to know. They were like, "How far should we have the things extend?" And I'm like,
"Forever. How far can we have them extend?"
How far? Yeah, how long is a piece of
string?
Can
you actually? Can you legitimately go to a tournament and say, "Hey, I've actually I haven't put these things out, so I can actually move the model"? Like, no, it's modeling for advantage. You can't do that. It's like,
yeah, correct. It's kind of a question you have to ask. I would be 100% fine if someone brings a Toxicrene and it's got short arm Toxicrene, and we just pretend that it extendos those arms and stuff, like whatever. Yeah, 120% fine.
Dorian in the chat says that they have 2 Spore Assist and still pick Toxicrene. So
I have 3 Spore Assists because there was a time I actually ran 3 of them. They were pretty cool.
Fair.
They were.
There was a formation that they were not bad in a while ago.
Get them on the table. Now's the time. It's a general's game out there, an army builder's game out there.
It's true. You could do anything with anything. It's actually great meta. So then we've got the meme theme of the week. It's the car veering off because it sees the exit that it really wants instead of going on the main highway.
Death Company Marines, Death Company Dreadnought.
Whoa!
Nice. This one, if for today's meta, the going straight is chasing the meta, going right is getting good at one army.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Yeah,
that is exactly
getting good at like one faction is veer off everybody. Go do it.
Thousand Suns, Leagues of Votan.
No, it should have been Agents of the Imperium.
Oh.
For me, it's singles event. Oh, teams event.
Yeah, baby. Oh yeah. It also reads Lehman Russ Tank Commander, Dawn Tank Commander.
That's true. Everybody is taking that off ramp. Every single Astro Military player is taking that off ramp.
It's only a couple. It's not that many points more for more wounds, more gun, more durability, and kind of a better. If you don't plan to die, it has a better unit ability as well with the rerolls.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, shooting a tank commander on death is always hilarious, but just don't plan to die, and you never use that ability.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's a very good point. And you know what would help you not die? Engine sears.
Look, 130-point investment in your future.
Yeah, correct.
It's true. At least
you can't afford not to take these engine sears.
Future. You're already spending 200 some odd points. What's the extra 45 for one of them?
When you came here today, you were thinking you don't want to die.
He's right. So straightforward is the car reads Drakari players. Straightforward is playing Drakari. Veering off to the right is playing Harlequins.
Oh yeah, that's probably accurate.
It's kind of just better Drakari now. with the
So
Harleys.
Slanesh players, Slanesh demons, Slanesh
Yeah.
demons.
Yeah. And then there should be a third turn-off coming up ahead. That's Emperor's Children.
Emperor's Children. Oh, Emperor's Children. That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
And then they turn around the corner
It's a
and
U-turn.
they have to do it again. They have to do it again. It's just Emperor's Children or Slanesh Demons, and they're like, no, standing at a crossroads.
And that's Fuego.
It's Fuego.
That is our show this week. Look, if you made it this far, if you didn't get the next the first turn off, like, share, subscribe. We really would appreciate it. That is what helps the show go round. And we'll be back next week talking about the biggest and best tournaments coming up in all around the globe. Warhammer 40,000. Cannot wait to see how this meta develops. It has been eye-opening each and every week. I'm really liking this because it's something new each and every week.
Man, we have gone through some hard times on this show. We've gone through some
have.
hard metas and some drudgery, and some every week is a bigger and bigger cliff between some nonsense and everyone else. And now, it's Dream Street.
Dream Street. This is straight on through. We don't need a veer. It's great.
No, there's no veer. There's no turn-offs on Dream
There's no
Street.
turn-offs on Dream Street. It's just one long
straight
dream.
ahead. Yeah.
Don't forget, we do this live each and every Thursday at
tell.
9 p.m. Eastern time. Come and join us if you can. You won't regret it. Got some great folks in the chat. We'll see y'all next week, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.